Welcome to this next video lesson. Make sure that you are taking some good notes in order for you to maximize your learning, right? So let's get started. So the first thing that we always do, of course, is we have to identify the name of these notes, right? And these notes are called congruence through transformations. So we're going to look at congruence, right? Working through transformation, right? So the first thing that we're going to, vocabulary word, couldn't think of it, we're going to talk about is equal. So the word equal, we're used to seeing the word equal, and it's this symbol right there, right? So the word equal refers to numbers. So whenever we see or hear the word equal, think about it as numbers, right? Your age is equal to somebody else's age, right? The amount of cars is equal to the amount of cars somebody else has, right? The number of baseball cards that you have is equal to the number of baseball cards somebody else has, right? So that's equal, and this is the symbol for equal. So congruent is actually different. So the word congruent is talking about size and shape, right? When something is the same size and the same shape, it is congruent, and we use this symbol here. It is the equal sign with the little squiggly line on top, right? Something is congruent, right? If two triangles are the same shape and size, they are congruent. If two squares are the same size and shape, they're congruent. If two chairs in your classroom are the same size and shape, they're congruent, right? Two tables, same size and shape, they're congruent, right? So that's the difference between equal and congruent. And today we're going to be talking about congruent, right? Congruency. So let us take a look here first at this triangle here. So this is triangle ABC, right? And we identify it as such, triangle ABC. We label it like that with a little triangle there, right? So we have a few parts in this triangle. So we have three angles, that's why it's called a triangle, right? Angle A, angle B, and angle C. So let's identify those. And let's say angle A, comma, we have angle B, angle B, and we have angle C, right? Three angles, angle A, angle B, angle C. But if you notice, the triangle is made up of sides as well, right? From A to B is one side, from B to C is another side, and from C to A is our third side, right? Three angles, three sides. So let us identify our sides here. So from A to B is one side, so we say side AB. And we do that by writing AB with a line over it. That means side AB. Comma, what's our second side? Our second side goes from B to C. So we say side BC. And then finally, as we said, the third side goes from C to A, right? So we say side CA. Now, technically, we can switch up the orders and we can say side BA, right? Or CB or AC. It doesn't really matter, right? But for consistency reasons, we're going to follow the order of ABC right there, right? So we have three sides and we have three angles. So these are the parts that we're going to use to identify the congruences of two shapes, right? We're going to see if they're congruent, same size and same shape. So here I have two triangles, right? So what I did is I copied this triangle and I put it over here, and I did is I turned it a little bit, right? So it can be turned it a little bit clockwise, so it's not exactly in the same position, right? And I named this triangle SRT, and I named this triangle XWZ, right? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to identify the congruent parts. And these two triangles are congruent because I copied them. What we're going to do is we're going to identify the congruent parts. So first I go, if you see R is first, so that means this is my first angle. So I'm going to call this angle R, just like this, right? And actually, I forgot to do that here. My goodness. So angle A here, you see angle A gets one arc here like this. That's angle A. Second is angle B, so angle B, I'm going to give it two arcs, just like this, right? marker here like this. And angle C is going to get 3 arcs. So 1 arcs, 2 arcs, 3 arcs, right? Angle A, angle B, and angle C. Okay, next we're going to identify the sides. So the first side is side AB from here to here. So the way we identify it is by a slash, just like that, right? Next was angle side BC. So side BC is 2 dashes. And naturally, the third part that hasn't been, the third side that hasn't been identified would be 3 dashes, right? That's how we identify our parts. So back to our triangle here. So angle R was 1 arc. Angle S will be 2 arcs, and angle T will be 3 arcs, just like this. Look at that. All right. So we're going to identify our sides now. RS, from R to S is 1 dash. From S to T is 2 dashes, right? S to T. And finally our last side is 3 dashes. Look at that, right? So let's do the same thing here on our second triangle. So our first letter is X, right? So angle X is 1 dash. Second letter is Y. Angle Y is 2 dash arcs. And angle Z is 3 arcs, right? So that means that our sides are XY is first. So that's our single dash. YZ is second. 2 dashes, see? YZ. And finally, our third side, of course, is going to be 3 dashes, just like that, right? So what I have is I've identified all our parts. And now what we're going to do is we're going to write down those congruencies, right? I write down our congruencies. So let's start with angle R. Angle R is 1 arc is congruent to angle X. So we say angle R is congruent to angle X, right? Second congruency, angle S is congruent to angle Y. Double arcs, angle S is congruent to angle Y, just like that. Finally, our triple arcs, angle T is congruent to angle Z. Angle T is congruent to angle Z, right? So those are our angles. So let's do our parts now. Our parts, our first side here on this triangle on the left is RS, right? Because it's our single. Well, our single on our second triangle is XY. Single. So RS is congruent to XY, just like that, right? Our double goes ST, double, is congruent to YZ, double. So ST is congruent to YZ. Look at that. And finally, our triple, TR, is congruent to ZX. So TR is congruent to ZX. And look at that. Those are our congruences, right? We identify the congruent parts from both triangles, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that looks like in the assignment, right, on Delta Math or any other assignment that you're going to do. If you're not using Delta Math, let me show you what that looks like. Go the other way. So this problem on Delta Math says triangle UVW, okay, UVW, that means this triangle here, and triangle XYW are drawn below, XYW, okay? Use the drop-down boxes to determine the transformation that maps triangle UVW, this one, onto triangle XYV. So I want to move this dude over here so they can be on top of it. So can this dude be on that dude? Okay. So what I'm going to do is it's going to move counterclockwise. So I'm going to, that means a rotation. Counterclockwise, good. About point, so I'm going to spin it on W. On W until, let's see. So I want this long part, WU, to match up with this long part, WX. So UW, remember we can say it backwards, has the same slope as XW. I'm thinking, let me see. XW, there you go. We're going to try that out. Perfect, look at that. Look at that. We're going to hit submit. We're going to hit yes. And perfect. Look at that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to identify the congruent parts of these two triangles, right? So we go like this, all right? And let me open up this screen here. So it was UVW, right? It was UVW. So let's mark this sucker up here. So if U was one arc, V was second, right? So that's 2, and W was third. 1, 2, 3, just like that. UVW was congruent to XYW, right? So that means that this X was single, this arc. This one angle was 2 arcs, and this angle was 3 arcs. Okay, so that means that our sides UV, that's our first side, so this is my single dash. VW was my second side, so that's 2 dashes. And finally, our third side would be 3 dashes, right? So this one was XYW, so XY is our single dash. YW is our double dash, and that means that our third dash is here, right? So I need to mark up on my notebook, right? On my notebook, all the congruences. Okay, so I go to my notebook here, right? This is my blank space here, and I'm going to say, right? I'm going to say number 1. So let's identify all the parts here. So let's start with our angles. Angle U is congruent to angle X. So angle U is congruent to angle X. Okay, let's go back. Oops. Angle V is congruent to angle Y. Angle V is congruent to angle Y. Okay. And finally, our third angle, angle W, is congruent to angle W. That one's easy, right? Angle W is congruent to angle W. Look at that. We have our angles. Let's take care of our sides now. Our first side is UV, single dash, right? Side UV is congruent to side XY. Side UV is congruent to side XY, just like that. Okay, let's go back. Our double VW is congruent to YW. So side VW is congruent to YW. And finally, our third is WU, from here to here. WU is congruent to WX. Oh, but this is our triple. Look at that. Look what I missed here. WU is congruent to WX. I bet you guys spotted that before me, right? WU is congruent to WX. WU is congruent to WX. So look at that. Look at that. So even though, look, our triangle moved, they're in different positions. But when I moved it over, it showed they were congruent, right? And we all showed it right here. We showed all the congruences right here, right? And we did it in our sketch. We sketched it out as well, okay? So there we are. So this is what you're going to do on the assignment today, okay? Make sure that you do these congruences for every single problem, all right? And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you guys for being here. See you next time.